Hello, welcome back to the Active Ingredient Podcast. I have missed doing this so much. I'm so happy to be back doing a solo, doing the first episode back. And man, I've said this a million times because I've come in and out of doing this podcast for 7 years. And I really, really miss it when I'm not doing it. And I also think it's just as important to listen to yourself when you are needing that space. And I was unintentionally doing seasonal podcasts without calling it that. And I was actually just being really hard on myself, being like, you're not being consistent. But what I was actually doing was working with a rhythm of seasonality. And now I'm just going into it with that in mind already and seeing where that energy takes me. But the truth is that every single time that I step away from doing the podcast, even though it's exactly what the doctor ordered, I miss it. Like I really, really deeply miss it. And it feels so good to be coming back. It feels like the right time for me to be coming back. I'm feeling a little bit more settled in life. A lot has shifted. I'm going to start the podcast talking a little bit about just what has been going on in my world and where I'm at, physically where I'm at, and also just in general. And yeah, I just first want to say for anybody that's returning to Active Ingredient, thank you so much for coming back, for listening, and thank you for being along for this ride. It is so cool to connect with people from all walks of life, like from people that I have on the show to people that listen to the show. And yeah, it's just anytime that I connect with anybody when it has to do with Active Ingredient, it's a very special bond because I know that we connect on a very, very deep level. So yeah, thank you for anybody that's returning. And for anyone who is new here, welcome. I am Sophie, and I'm going to give like a high level of who I am for those that are just tuning in. I am, a very hard question to answer, by the way. I was just in a meeting with someone and we're like, how do you describe what you do? I am a very curious and creative human being. I've spent my whole career working in PR and marketing, and I have been amplifying other people's brands as the main source of my business and my income. And that is something that's very true to me. I think at the core of who I am is a connector and creative. And so getting to have those overlap within the brand building world has been amazing. So I started my own agency in 2018, I believe, and that's called Nude Nation. So Nude Nation is what is powering this podcast. It is produced by Nude Nation. So yeah, I've been doing that for a while. I am a podcast host, as you see, and I also launched a ceramics line with my sister in 2022 called Piano Piano, which is all about slowing down and coming alive. And all of our pieces are just really alive, colorful, vibrant coffee mugs, plates, pitchers, platters, serving bowls, all of these pieces that exist in your home that the intention is for it to bring joy, to remind you to slow down, and to be present with either yourself or whoever it is that you're sharing a meal or a beverage or a moment with. And I know that those are a lot of things. To me, all of those things are kind of the same in different vehicles. And I'm like in the middle of the Venn diagram of all of those things. So that's a little background. I'm also Latin. I'm half Venezuelan, half Cuban. And all of the work that I've done for such a long time, I have really started to understand, like I actually started to understand this very early on in starting my own agency. I started to see this thread of the people and the brands that I felt like were very, very alive and felt like the easy sell. Like, I would talk about these brands or these people or these places just so freely and so easily. And I would notice that the thread of that was that these people or places or brands or whatever were really created from a place of truth and from a place of the founder really solving for their own problem or creating something that was really of actual service. And that is an energetic that you cannot mistake. Like you can't mistake that, you can't replicate it either. And when I started doing my agency, I was having conversations with all of these amazing human beings that were creating in that way. And I felt like there was something missing in how I was creating, and I wanted to create more like that. Like I was like, I want to find what that aliveness is in me so that everything that I do can have that essence in whatever I touch. And so I was having these conversations in the beginning of doing this podcast, really trying to figure that out for myself. Like, how did these people tap into what that was? And what I understood early on was that the more the person knew themselves and had done the inner work to understand how to build in a way that was not grabby or manipulative or here for a quick fix, quick buck type of energy, and actually build an integrity, I would just see time and time again that every single one of those founders were people that were doing a tremendous amount of inner work. And anybody who works for themselves can tell you that if you work for yourself and you've gone out to be an entrepreneur, to freelance, to do anything, it is a spiritual and inner work experience. Like you come up against so many things inside that I believe is the most beautiful part of the whole thing, because it's like you're transcending yourself in the process. And as you go on, you just keep creating and keep building in more and more true and aligned ways. And so the intention for the show was first for me to ask these people, like, how the hell did you get there? And then it started to become more of like, no, I just want to have conversations with people that I feel like we're all kind of in this space, building and growing and expanding. And, you know, you take a few steps forward and a few steps back, and then you keep going. And who are these people that I feel like I am either in proximity to, or I'm really inspired by, or I am friends with, or, you know, actual people in my life, like my friends, my family, people that inspire me. Because also, side note, a huge thing to pay attention to is that just your actual friends and people, like, they will be some of your biggest teachers too. If you let them, they will show you some pretty awesome wisdom. Like, that's really cool. But anyway, the whole point was that I believed that and I still believe that every single human being has this ingredient. We have this, it's our true essence. It's what we came to this planet with. We have this sauce. It's inside of us. Inside of most people, it is dormant because for whatever reasons, we succumb to the system. We just keep going through life. We go to school, we go to college, we get a job. We just, you're in this system without taking a step back and asking yourself, like, am I alive in this thing? Do I feel like my gifts that were so natural to me are being utilized actively day to day? And I keep finding that the people that feel most alive and rooted, meaning like they feel grounded in their expansion, they are actively practicing their ingredient. It is an active choice to activate that inner essence, that ingredient, that thing that is unwavering, that has been planted inside of you since the moment that you were born. And if you are new here, the question that I ask every single guest, and by the way, I ask myself that question pretty much every single time that I do this podcast, is what were you like as a kid that you remember? And it's because the answer a lot of times lies in that, like whatever you naturally gravitated towards when you were little, a lot of times there are through lines in your gifts and what you were naturally wanting to play when you were little. So I ask every single guest what they were like as a kid, what they gravitated towards, if they feel like what they're doing right now is tied to that in some way. And it's pretty much a yes across the board. And yeah, I believe that what we talk about on this show is the inner workings, the inner movings, the inner stuff that allows for the external to just be a byproduct of the inner stability. So when people are creating from a place of that inner resonance, the outside mirrors. Everything is a mirror. How you see things is a mirror. How you see me is a mirror of how you see yourself. So it is truly an exercise of doing that internal work all the time. And it's not a one-time thing. It's literally all the time, every single day, asking yourself those questions. How can I create this in a way that feels true to me now? How can I express this? Who is the right person to partner for this that feels really aligned and just correct for us to do this at this moment? All of those things are things that require a lot of silence, a lot of time doing introspection, a lot of time with yourself, essentially, and slowing down. And so, yeah, that has always been the intent of the show. It will continue to be the intent of the show. And that's a little background on me and what I'm up to. So all of Active Ingredient stuff is really conversations about the inner work. And of course, we talk about outer stuff too, you know, when I have founders on, like things that are working from a business standpoint and things that are more of the outer side of the outer stuff, we definitely talk about. But Active Ingredient really is about activating that ingredient, what people do to activate it, what has worked for them, modalities, people that inspire them, wisdom that they've picked up along the way, just truth telling really here, so that, you know, it's like we all are walking, well, I can't remember who it was that said that quote, but it's like we're all walking each other home vibes. And I think that the more that we hear this, we're all saying the same thing, but when you hear it from different people, different voices resonate with different people. You know, like I could be saying the same thing over and over again, but my friend might say it in a way that actually lands on someone, or vice versa. And so I just think that the more we can amplify humans that have done the brave thing of going inside and that feel confident to speak their truth, which I hope that all of us can get to, I want to have conversations around that. So that's what I'm doing. And so that's what I've been doing. And that's what I will continue to be doing on Active Ingredient. And so, yeah, I am back. It's been a really fun 7 years doing this. I feel more and more like it's moving less into interview style and way more into conversation style. And it feels just so much better because I feel like I've had these people on my radar for so long, like guests that I have on the show. It's like they've gone on so many podcasts and talked to people about all the questions that are like, you know, like what was your process, or like similar type questions. And I'm like, I have questions of like now, like what are you moving through right now? Of course, we will get into some things from the past because I do ask what you were like as a kid, but it feels more of like a, what are we moving through right now type of conversation, things that are coming up for me, things that are coming up for them, things that we're moving through, and just having honest conversations. And it's like, I've said this from the beginning of the podcast. I will say it, not even in the podcast, like in life in general, take what resonates with you and let go of what does not resonate with you. I think that it, like even someone saying something at a certain phase in your life, it may resonate in a certain phase, and in another phase, it may not resonate. That is totally correct. Like it, whatever you need to take in that moment, you will take. I was in a meeting today and we were talking about books that we constantly revisit. And there's several for me that I will reread over and over again. And every single time something else is landing, you know, like something that may have resonated with me the first time is completely different to the second time that I read it, completely different to the third. And it's because it's a reflection of where I am at. And truth and art does that. Like it just will meet you where you're at. So yeah, we are back. So yeah, update on my front. If you're watching on YouTube, this is me being in Miami. I moved back home. I am born and raised in Miami. I moved back home in November, and I've spent the last 12 years living in New York and the last maybe 5 years living between New York and Miami. And I still will be continuing to go to New York all the time, but I reversed it. So I was based in New York and I was coming to Miami often, and I just reversed it. I'm in Miami and I will be going to New York every so often, probably like every month, which I've been doing every month and a half. And the move has been very interesting. There's so many things that are amazing, and I know that I made absolutely the right choice for now. And there are so many things that are also very confronting, very uncomfortable. I am living in a house, for example, versus an apartment. That's been a whole thing to get used to. And it's been really expansive, but with expansion comes so much discomfort, like truly, like the first month of me living in this house, for example, I did not sleep. Okay. Like I was sleeping with one eye open because houses make noise. They like make these like creaks and they like burp, you know? I can't remember who it was that said that, but it's true. Like they literally burp and it's like, what is someone in this house? And I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Like that first month, I was just really not, I wasn't sleeping well. It was just a huge adjustment. Change does that. It really, you come up against a lot of things. And so, yeah, that is a little life update on my side. I think I probably will do a whole solo on just navigating moving as a whole. Maybe if that's something that you guys are interested in, let me know. I can't tell sometimes if people want like that much personal stuff or keep it like kind of vague. That's another thing also that's been coming up for me in doing this podcast again, is that like, how much of myself do I want to share? I think that a lot of people are working through that with AI and with a lot of these things. It's like, I don't know, like there's certain things that I'm just like, do I really need to share that with everyone? Like, do people need to know that? Why am I sharing that? Like, am I sharing that to validate something? Am I sharing that? Like, what is the intent? I think that's a good question to ask yourself for literally anything that you're doing. But I do sit with that sometimes. I'm like, how much do I share? What do I share? What do I keep for myself? What do I feel really called to say as an example, for example? So that's something that I'm moving through. Something else I wanted to call out is that the cover art is different. I can't remember how many cover art changes we've had at this point, because every time that I didn't realize I was doing seasons on Active Ingredient. I was just like doing a new cover art, stopping it, coming back and doing a new cover art. And it's like, girl, you've been doing seasonal, but you just haven't been calling it that. Like this is seasonal. So this season, I have a new cover art, and it is a lotus flower that my grandmother painted in her 90s. And we painted it together, and it means literally the world to me because, I mean, first of all, my grandmother, for anybody who knows me for half a second, you know that my grandmother is like truly my everything. I adore her. She is my biggest role model and someone that I want to move through life as. And the lotus flower has been one of my biggest kind of, I don't know if signs is the right thing. Like the lotus flower and me are very, very connected. And she was in Miami a few years back, and we bought her this. She's an artist. And by the way, a big reason why I wanted to have this piece of art is because she reconnected with her love of art and discovered this about herself in her 80s. And is truly my favorite artist on planet Earth. Like truly, she's incredible. I have like a huge piece of art that's on my wall that she did. The piece of art that's on the cover art is a piece that she did. We did it actually together. It's her piece 1,000%. But I want to explain why I'm saying that we did it together, because she was in her 90s when we painted this, or when she painted this. And she has a hard time seeing. So she couldn't tell what was green, what was pink. So I was literally telling her, this is green, this is pink, this is lighter pink, this is yellow. And this is a person who literally cannot see that well and was like, I am painting this lotus. Like that was her conviction to do it, and she did it. It's the most beautiful thing ever. I'm going to show you. I need to frame it. My grandmother painted this in her 90s with having very limited vision, enough to paint literally my favorite painting I've ever had. And I was telling my mom, I'm like, I want the world to see that, because to me, it embodies Active Ingredient. I mean, she embodies Active Ingredient in everything she does, but that painting specifically, to me, I'm like, the lotus represents transcending darkness, quite literally. It's a sign of purification. And it is a sign of transcendence. It is a sign of blooming. It is a sign of moving through really hard things and getting to the other side radiant, alive, stronger. And it's a deeply rooted flower, and it's rooted in water and earth. So it's like, it's just all these beautiful, beautiful things. Most importantly to me, though, is that my grandmother at 90 is still creating. And living like the artist that she is. And that is what I want for myself and for everyone that's listening, is to create lives that feel like that feel like you are living in your art. Like your artistry isn't everything that you do. And her physical art is obviously that, but the way that she moves through the world is that. And so I was telling my mom, I'm like, I want the world to see it. I want it to be, loud, front, center, like that's what it is. And we were going back and forth. Like I was going back and forth with a few people, with my family and like a few people that helped me with the podcast. And it was like, should we put your face on the like, should you be, on it? And it's like, I have been on it before. I have not been on it before. And at this season in my life, I'm like, the podcast, yes, it's my podcast and I host it and I do it, but it's not about me. It is about all of us coming back to that inner ingredient. And I don't know, it felt really right to me for this to be it. To me, this embodies it more than anything. But even making that decision, a lot of things were coming up for me in terms of visibility and what it means to be seen. And like I was like, do I not want to put my face on this because I am, being shy or not wanting to show myself, or my fear of being seen, or all of those things? And I really sat with it and I was like, no, I actually, to me, this is the most being seen, vulnerable thing to put. Like it is the thing that means the most to me. Not that my face doesn't mean something to me. Of course it does. But this is not about me and my face. So at least for this season, I'm like, I felt very strongly that it wasn't that. But that brings me to the point of visibility as a whole, because I've already recorded a few podcasts with incredible humans that I can't wait for you to listen to, and just meetings and conversations that I've been having with people over and over and over again. And the theme that keeps coming up is around visibility and around just the different fears that are under that visibility fear, because the fear of being seen could be fear of a lot of things. So we have it as kind of like this umbrella category, but it's a really big fear that a lot of people, if not most people, have. And it's in direct contrast to what our soul wants, which is to actually be seen and known and to connect on that real, true level. And so we're constantly in this tug of war of wanting to be seen and not wanting to be seen, being so scared, being so scared of being seen, and putting yourself out there and then wanting to take it back. And it's like this dance that is deeply uncomfortable. But I think that the more that we bring it into the room and that we talk about it, and it's funny because I've had this conversation with people who are very visible, who have pretty big platforms, who are known, who are like, they are out there and they come up against this same fear. And it's interesting to have conversations around what is the actual fear underneath it. What happens if you're seen? What do you think will happen if you, because my answer to that was very different to someone else, And so getting really curious about what that is. And for me, at least, it has always boiled down to self-trust. And like, what is it? Like, where is it coming from? And how can you move with the fear and keep moving forward? Like, keep moving in the direction of your truth so that you can also align and attract more people that are also in that same level that you're at and in that same place. But it has to start with you seeing you first. As with all things in life, everything starts with how you're doing it yourself. If you want more friendship, how can you be a better friend? If you want this, it's like, it always comes back to how can you own it more? And so with visibility, it's like, okay, how can I not outsource that? And how can I start seeing myself in all things that I do first? Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? How can I start getting comfortable with even seeing my own self, And that is, I believe, a lifelong practice. But I do think that with this topic specifically that we talk about on the show, it's the one that is probably the most relevant. It's the thing that stops a lot of people from taking the risk, from starting the business, from sharing their voice, from sharing their perspective, their work, their ideas. So it's like, in order to actually be in the world, living and operating and attracting those things, humans need to know what it is that you're about. And so that requires you showing yourself. It requires showing what you care about. It requires showing what you offer, what you do, how you do it, what you see, and sharing for that sake, for that pure desire to just share and know that your voice and your contribution and your way of doing it is needed. I've said this so many times, like a lot of people will come to me and be like, well, so many people have this type of business, or so many people have podcasts, or so many people have this. And it's like, yeah, there are so many, but not, and it sounds so cheesy and it sounds cliche, but not in the way that you do it, you know, not in the way that you see it, not in the way that you would produce it, not in the way that you would edit it, not in the way, like not how you, not your take. So my goal here is to get us all to take those risks, share what you can. It makes me so happy when I see anyone or talk to anyone from the active ingredient community that has done it. And it's so cool because even if that thing that you put yourself out there first isn't the thing, it is the stepping stone that got you to the next thing because you started to trust yourself more. You started to see that, hey, I did something really vulnerable and really scary and I didn't die. And I still have my people and I still have my friends and I still have my life and I didn't die. So I could try again and I could try a different thing and I can edit this and I can whatever. And that is something that I think is worth pursuing. It's literally why I'm doing this show. So visibility, you will see and notice that will be a very big theme as we navigate this new season. It's something that I am navigating personally. Again, with like, how much do I want to share? Why is it that I want to pull back from sharing certain things? Is that valid? Do I not want to because I just simply don't want to? Or am I hiding? And where am I hiding? And how am I hiding? And I don't want to hide. I simply don't want to hide anymore. So where am I? Like, where are my blind spots in how I can show up and be clear? Like, clarity is beautiful. Clarity is king. How can you be clear? I mean, first and foremost, it's in your actions, but also in like in what you are oozing in all ways. So you will notice that there's a lot more on visibility. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about in this re-entry solo is that moving forward, I'm not going to do it in this one, but I did a solo episode last year called Founders Are Artists. And I first heard that concept from Olivia, from Organic Olivia. Love her. Huge fan. Follow her. She's incredible. And she was talking about how founders are artists. And she is someone who is a founder and has also returned her to her original art, which is singing. And I've loved following her journey. I've loved seeing her quite literally live her active ingredient out in all ways. And she's a huge expander. And I did that episode on founders as artists and how I really want us to all really pay attention to the brands that we naturally gravitate towards and why, and to start investing our money and not start, because I feel like this community already does, but to continue to invest your time, your money, and your presence and your energy, your focus, your like, where are you focusing your attention on founders and brands that are building like artists in integrity from their truth. It's not coming from the outside in, they're building from the inside out. They're creating from inner knowings and expressing that externally. Those are the brands that I really want to shout from the rooftops. Those are the brands that I work with in my agency. Those are the brands that I invest my own money into, my time, my presence, my skill sets. Like, that is literally what I focus on because I want more energy, money, power, all of those things behind human beings that are doing things intentionally with a greater good and greater consciousness in mind. And they exist. And so at the beginning of every episode, I am starting a series, Founders Are Artists, and I will be highlighting a specific founder that I believe is building like an artist. And I will talk about what they are doing in the world, what their product, service, place, whatever it is that I am obsessed with what specifically it is that I buy or show up in or whatever, and a little bit about their story. So I'm going to try to keep that under 5 minutes, but every episode I will be highlighting a founder who is building like an artist, because I don't know if everybody knows about these brands and people, and I want literally everyone to know about them and to go to them or to buy them or to share them or to be in connection to them, because they're high vibration, high frequency things, people, places, etc. So that's something that you'll notice every episode, whether it's a solo or whether it is a conversation. We'll have founders or artists, and I'll highlight something. So that's all I have for you as this little return. Feels so good. It feels, man, go back to the things that make you feel alive and excited and just like you're doing what you want to be doing type of vibe, because it feels really damn good to get back on the horse. It's the year of the horse. For me, it's like the year of getting back on the horse and the year of the horse. The first half of the year has been like getting back on the horse on so many things. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoy Active Ingredient, I would really appreciate if you gave it 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. I know every podcaster says that. It really helps other people that are just like us find this type of content. And I want to be in more connection with people like that. And just being in connection to humans that are like that will only benefit us all, I believe. So if you can give the podcast 5 stars wherever you listen, if you're on YouTube, if you can give it a like, if you think that there's someone in your life that would enjoy this, also share it with them. And that is all I have for you today. It feels so good to be back with you. What a exhale to actually like do it. You know, I was very resistant to just doing it, and your girl's very happy to be back. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, for supporting, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.